Now we are going to talk with you about product analytics. So if you don't mind, I will first make a quick intro because probably not everyone knows me. So my name is Julia. I'm from an analytics platform, devtodev. And for the last 5 years, I've been helping game developers to find solutions to their analytics problems and to build data-driven culture in their teams. And I'm also the host of an online course, Game Analytics from Basic to Advanced Strategies. So it's a beginner course, but if you're curious, if you feel like this can be helpful, feel free to Google it and check it out. All right, so I don't know at what stage of game development you are now, but I suppose that some of you are probably developing a game and maybe confused with a variety of tools that are on the market. Maybe some of you already have launched a game, but still making decisions based on their gut feeling rather than data. If any of this is your case, I hope this presentation will help you to make an informed decision, and you will find some answers here. So this is the agenda for today. Basically, it will consist of 5 steps, which are the 5 steps of integrating product analytics. So first of all, analyze your needs in product analytics, why you need it, what tasks you want to solve with it. Then choose the setup that is right for your current situation, for your budget, for your company structure, for your experience. The next step would be to create a map or a scheme of events for tracking your user activity. Then, of course, implementing these events and conducting testing. And finally, merging all these data sources in a unified data ecosystem, which is a critical step for getting a complete picture of your user data and making correct data-driven decisions. So we will go through all these steps one by one. And first, you need to understand that analytics is actually, product analytics is vital for your company because it will give you an overview of your full player journey from the moment they click an ad and install your game, then to passing tutorial, watching ad, making their first, second purchase, and finally churning. And when you know this user behavior, you can identify your effective and ineffective acquisition channels. You can analyze the behavior of different segments of users and compare them. You can find reasons, very importantly, behind certain behaviors and answer questions why a certain metric changes. You can also identify points of growth. And sometimes this can be small changes in your game that can lead to great improvements. And once you have your growth hypothesis, you can A/B test your hypothesis. And again, you need analytics for this. And finally, once you want to release the feature for the full audience, you can also use analytics for that. So now that you know that you need analytics, the next step would be to choose an analytics that is right for you, for your current situation, for your company. Generally speaking, there will be 2 types of setups. One would be in-house, another one ready or off-the-shelf solutions, which can be free and which can be at the same time premium or freemium. And I'm not here to persuade you to choose one or another because it highly depends. But I want to give you a food for thought and to mention some advantages and some risks of all of these setups. So when we're talking about in-house analytics, usually this looks like this. We have an app which sends some user data to your database, which is on your servers. You as a developer write some queries to your database, and then there are some visualization tools or BI tools that are connected to your database, so you can visualize your data and create some charts, dashboards. What is the advantage? Of course, the main advantage is that it's the most flexible setup that can possibly be. And that is why many developers choose it. And also, once everything is set up, the maintenance cost is relatively low. But there are certain things that you should also keep in mind. The first one is the lack of native integrations with other tools. So when if you're going to use some additional tools for, let's say, attribution platforms or push notification services or A/B testing platforms, you would need to struggle with their APIs and connect them on your own, while in the ready solutions you have native integrations. Also, many people may think that in-house analytics is kind of free or super cheap, but it's not always the case because you need to keep in mind that you're paying for servers, you're paying for visualization tools, you paying salaries for people who are building this system. So in the end, it is not free. And also, very importantly, with in-house, you're building everything from scratch, right? There are no ready filters, there are no ready cohorts, there are no ready dashboards. You need to literally build everything from scratch. You need to be sure that you have people who have enough experience to create these dashboards, because to avoid this dead ends when you're building something for months and then it turns out that it doesn't work or you practically don't need it. And also there is a risk that because to operate the in-house you would need an analyst who knows Python or SQL, and there is a risk that analyst can become a bottleneck in your processes, in your workflow. I can illustrate this. So let's say we have a case and game producer wants to know, let's say, what is the average time to complete a level, yeah? And what they would do in the case of in-house, in many cases, they would go to an analyst and ask this question. And an analyst would go and write an SQL query and visualize the result for a game producer. And according to some companies that I've been working with, it may take from several hours up to several days. And that's quite a long time, taking into account the dynamic market where you need to make decisions super quickly. That can be as a blocker for you. Why this happens is because, first of all, you need to write an SQL query, which is not a couple of clicks. It's a bit of time consuming. And also there is a queue of other roles who are also asking analysts to perform some tasks for them. So analyst becomes a bottleneck here. That is why I like this quote by a growth product manager at Instacart. If you say you're data-driven, but everything has to go through an analyst, you're not actually data-driven. And this is how it would work in case of ready solutions, for example. We have game producer, game designer, marketing manager who have direct access to some analytics platform. They go in a couple of clicks, they answer their question. And at the same time, analysts can focus on more complex questions. So they can devote more of their time to some complicated queries or to building, let's say, some machine learning technologies to grow your company further. So now that we've touched upon ready solutions, let's talk about pros and cons. So first of all, as I've mentioned, time is important, and with ready solutions, PMs, game designers, marketers, they have direct access to data. And also, I must mention the integration, because integration of ready analytics platform is done by SDK. There is documentation, it's super easy process, and it's much easier than building everything from scratch. But at the same time, things to keep in mind, of course, pricing, although there are on the market free solutions, but it depends on the solution you're choosing. Also, some free solutions can use or sell your data to some ad networks or to provide industry benchmarks. They usually talk about it openly. There is no secret about it. So as a developer, you can choose whether it's okay for you or not. And finally, of course, ready solutions are usually less flexible than in-house. You cannot answer all the questions in the world with out-of-the-box tools, with out-of-the-box reports. Therefore, my recommendation would be, if you go for a ready off-the-shelf solution, make sure it has an SQL integrated in it. You may be surprised, but actually some ready solutions, they already have SQL integrated in their interface. So for example, on the right, you can see, maybe familiar for you, BigQuery, but to the left, there are two ready solutions that also have SQL. These are Amplitude and devtodev. All right, and this is a checklist, what you should keep in mind when choosing a ready analytics. So the first one, ready reports provided. So usually these solutions, they have demo projects, so take this chance, go and check which reports they are provided out of the box. Check how flexible the system is, what filters are available, what cohorts are available, are there formulas and SQL if you need some deeper analysis. Also, very importantly, check the limitations of the system, because there may be certain limitations on the number of custom events that you can send, on the number of parameters, on the number of users that can use an account. Also, if you have a big team with different roles and you need to set different access rights to different reports, so make sure this system also can provide you different access rights. And ask them also about raw data access, if you can export raw data, and in general for how long they store raw data, because you may need it in future. And also check available native integrations, because probably you're building your tech stack. Make sure these solution has native integrations with your partners, because then you would save a lot of time and you don't have to work with API. And of course, finally, check the pricing. Check it not only for your current volumes, but also try to predict in future, see how the pricing scales. All right, now that, let's say, we have chosen the analytics setup, and what would be our next step is to create a scheme or a map of events. Because when we're talking about product analytics, we're talking about event-based analytics. So what is an event? Event are those data points that are triggered when a certain action is performed by a user. And here I can give you a couple of recommendations just from our experience. We recommend naming events like element action, for example, booster used when a booster was used, or store opened when in-game shop was opened. And also, you can see that each event may have parameters. Parameters are characteristics of events. And you can specify, for example, which booster, what type of booster was used, whether it was a bomb, a potion, something else, on which level the booster was used, and so on and so forth. And the mistake that some developers make, they put the value of the parameter in the event type, and in the end, they've come up with not very effective custom event structure. So maybe they may have like 1,000 of event types, where they could have 100 event types plus some parameters. So my recommendation would be to use your parameters smartly, and in general, to use parameters. Also, if you're working with some game analytics platform, you may find that in their documentation, they already have pre-written basic events. These are events that you don't need to create yourself. You just copy and paste them. They are ready for you. They can help you to save your time. This can be events for payment for real money, payments for virtual currency, for leveling up, for changing a game location, for passing some tutorial steps. And some analytics go even further, and they make automatically tracked events. So these are these automatically generated events where you don't have to do anything at all. The system generates these events for you. This can be install, ad impression, push send, push click, subscription. So just check the documentation. It would be slightly different for different systems. And some people ask, where should we create a map of events? Actually, just the standard Excel file would work perfect for this. Just make sure that it contains app version, that it has a screen in which the action is performed. For example, maybe it's main screen, maybe it's game shop. You should write also the trigger, the condition when this event is triggered, event name, of course, and some parameters. And also frequently asked question, how long does it take to integrate SDK, to integrate the map of events? It depends. But I can give you just an example, a case of a mobile game studio who have a mobile farm game, Stepico. And for them, for example, actually the map of events was created by our in-house analysts. They asked us for help, and our analysts spent like 10 hours for creating the map of events, and then the programmers of Stepico spent 12 more hours to integrate SDK and all events in the game. And here you go, like you're basically set up in a couple of days. And the last step would be to it's very important that your product analytics not only collects events, but that it is also very natively united with all your other tools that you're going to use. So you have like kind of organized ecosystem, united ecosystem of all your tools. So make sure that your product analytics platform can be ideally natively be integrated with attribution tools such as AppsFly or Just or whatever you're using, with ad mediation platforms. Also make sure that ad mediation platform can send you user level data, so very granular data, because in that case it will be easier for you to slice this data and then to build LTV forecast. Also, like you can see, push notifications tools, in-app messaging tools, A/B testing platform, subscriptions tracking if you have subscriptions. As you can see, some of these tools, they perform several functions at the same time. So this can help you to build a more effective technical stack and avoid too many tools, like not to make it overcomplicated. All right. So when you're choosing your tools that you're going to partner with, it's useful to draw a scheme like this. So here we have like abstract game on iOS and Android, and we see that we have here integrated SDK of attribution platform, mediation platform, A/B testing, push notifications, and of course analytical platform. And as you can see here, all of these tools are connected between each other, sometimes both ways, which is also important. I can illustrate it with just a small example. Let's say in your product analytics platform, you can identify a segment of users, let's say whales that haven't been paying for a while, for let's say 1 month. You need to be sure that you can take this segment of users and put it, let's say, in push notification tools, so you can send them a special offer maybe, and then you need to be sure that also data about push sent can be received in your analytical platform, so you can study your user workflow or to see what users were doing after they click the push or after they have received the push. So it's good to kind of plan this in advance when you're building your technical stack. When we're talking about ready solutions, usually these integrations are done super easily, just one click, more or less. If you're building in-house, of course, this would require more effort. This would require working with API, use API connectors. So that's basically, we're coming to a conclusion. I hope we've covered most of the frequently asked questions when people are choosing to integrate in analytics. And if there are any questions left, you can ask me now or send me an email. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very, very interesting. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.